Hey, YouTubers, something important, something kind of damn important. So, essentially, we're talking right now other alternatives to YouTube. Have I ever considered them? And the simple answer is no. Hell no. I have never considered anything besides YouTube in terms of my videos. Now, there are other platforms. There's Rumble, there's Odyssey, there's Mega Upload. I have never considered anything but YouTube. Way back in 2009, 2010, it's always been YouTube, 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 YouTube. Never once have I considered to be any other platform. And the reason is because, honestly, not to dox any platforms, not to be rude, not to be rude ass like the big ass cigar, most other platforms suck in terms of their video capability, in comparison to YouTube. Now, I'm not trying to sound like a dick, it's like, but compared to YouTube, no other platform even comes close. Now, I know the YouTube doomsday people will say, oh, YouTube's going to go out of business any day now. No way in hell. It's not going anywhere. I can assure you of that. So, yeah, I can't predict the future, but it's not going anywhere. So, YouTube is here to stay. And I know people are going to be jerks and say, oh, you're talking crap, man. It's like, talking crap. It's like, any day now, YouTube will go out of business. Bullshit. So, yeah. And compared to other platforms like, Rumble, Odyssey, Mega Upload, most other platforms suck compared to YouTube. There is no comparison. That's why you have to be so damn careful in terms of your videos on YouTube, making sure they align with the community guidelines in terms of service. Because once you're blacklisted, you're blacklisted. Now, in terms of, other platforms, I mean, do they suck? No. I'm not trying to, dox brands, whatever, but I've never even been on these platforms, and there is no comparison to YouTube, period. No replacements. That's why most of these platforms are for people who, got kicked off of YouTube and are looking for different platforms. Now, Rumble claims it's a billion times better than YouTube. Bullshit. No. There is no comparison to YouTube. Now, I've never used Rumble, so I might be kind of biased myself. Bullshit. From what I've heard, everything I've heard, and believe me, I have been on YouTube for a damn long time. For a damn long time. I've been using YouTube technically since 2007. Maybe even 2006, probably 2007. I've been using YouTube for. I've been a member of YouTube since 2009 and 2010. There is no comparison whatsoever to YouTube with these other platforms in terms of the ability to interact with people, the ability to live stream, the ability to all these different factors. There is no comparison. Now, some of the better options out there for video sharing platforms that are not YouTube, Rumble, Odyssey, are considered some of the better ones. Then there are smaller ones, which are really just crap in general, just shit in general. Again, I'm not trying to dox those, brands, whatever, or be rude to them, or sound like a total dick, whatever. It's like, but compared to YouTube, it's like YouTube up here, most other things down here. So, there is no comparison. And believe me, I'm not trying to sound like a jerk. It's like, sound like a total jerk. But there is no comparison to YouTube. That's why my videos will always be on YouTube. I don't care. I mean, even if YouTube gets, 100 times stricter with the rules, which they have, it's like, YouTube has gotten a hell of a lot stricter. YouTube, Google, has gotten so much stricter over the years. Yeah. YouTube is still best. People might say, well, YouTube sucks. YouTube sucks. It's like, all their rules, all their BS bullshit rules. It's like, it's still the best, no matter what. Even if YouTube's rules around copyright, YouTube's rules around community guidelines, terms of service, ad-friendly guidelines, adpocalypse, it's still the best. Hands down, there is no comparison. There's nothing that even remotely fucking compares to it. Period. No comparison. And that's why I have no interest in making a Rumble account or making an Odyssey account or making a Mega Upload account, is because nothing compares to it. I mean, I have my Facebook account. You know, Facebook is different. You know, I don't use Twitter. I don't use Twatter. You know, yeah, twat, big ass cigar for life. Just being silly ass like the big ass cigar. Yeah, there's no comparison to YouTube. Period. All these other platforms are like inferior to YouTube. They're like this, and YouTube is like this. And no, that was not a comparison in terms of the size of some of these, you know what. So I'm just being silly ass like the big ass cigar. So yeah, YouTube is like the big, by far, it's actually, I think I read somewhere, it's the second most viewed website out there next to Google probably. Google is probably the most viewed website out there. YouTube is the second. It's not going anywhere anytime soon. And people can talk shit, you know, whatever. You know, people can talk shit and say, oh, it's going to go out of business, you know, in 2 weeks, you know. Bullshit. Not true at all. I mean, bullshit can be bullshit, you know, but I don't think YouTube's going anywhere anytime soon. And it's just, there is no comparison. That's the bottom line. I know I'm repeating myself, but you know, people might say, "Hey, Smoking Assy, have you ever considered doing Rumble? Have you ever considered doing Odyssey or Mega Upload?" No way in hell, because it just doesn't even compare. Yeah, so a lot of people say there are benefits, you know, Rumble or Odyssey might be, you know, more liberal. They might be like, you know, they might be more liberal. They might allow you to do more things, but still, even with, you know, them being more liberal, and you got to be careful. It's like, you know, you got to be damn careful, because a lot of these other video sharing sites, you know, you got to be damn careful, because YouTube is also one of the most regulated websites out there. You got to be damn careful, because you could get into a lot of crap. It's like, you know, you could get into a lot of crap, and other websites, I'm not going to say exactly what I'm thinking, but there are websites out there that have had issues with certain bad stuff. I'm going to say air quotes, certain bad stuff, illegal material, and that's the problem with a lot of these smaller websites. They're not as regulated as YouTube, because yeah, YouTube can be a dick. It's like, you know, no question about it. However, I'm not trying to like dox YouTube, whatever. Even though YouTube can be a total pain in the ass, it's by far the best, and also it's also one of the most safest. It's also one of the most safest. It's like, you know, people are like, oh, I would love to be on a website that has no rules. It's like, you know, I'd love to be on a website that, you know, is like, you know, free for all, you know, anarchy. It's like, you know, no, you would not, because it's like, you know, people share, it's like, yeah, there's people who might do videos with like, you know, tobacco or alcohol, or, you know, with like links, that kind of stuff. That might be totally fine, as long as the person who's, you know, viewing it is over 18, over 21, or that might be totally fine. But then there are people who will post the bad stuff involving people under the age of 18. I won't say the word. The bad stuff of people under the age of 18. Yeah, you can get into a lot of bullshit that way. That's how a lot of people have literally had their lives destroyed. Now, I'm not saying this is on every website, and I'm not trying to scare you guys. It's like, you know, I'm not saying don't go on Rumble or don't go on Odyssey. I'm not saying every single, you know, website that's not YouTube is dangerous. I mean, every social media platform is dangerous. What I'm saying is, on a lot of these websites, they are less regulated than YouTube. It's like, yeah, there's a lot of people who will post really bad stuff. It's like, you know, they won't take action against it, and next thing you know, you got the FBI knocking at your door. You got the FBI knocking at your door because you were trading illegal material. It's like, you know, you were viewing illegal material. That's one of the benefits to YouTube, is because they're so damn strict. You know, YouTube's so fucking strict. It's like, you know, YouTube actually protects us in a lot of ways to make sure we're not, you know, exposing ourselves to potentially illegal or illicit material. You know, I mean, of course there are people on YouTube who will upload bad stuff. Of course there are people on YouTube who will upload the bad stuff involving children. It's like, you know, of course there are. It's like, but YouTube is so powerful that literally in a matter of like hours, it's acted on like that, and boom, it goes away, and nobody, and for the most part, you know, only the people who are involved gets in trouble. On a lot of these other websites, it's like, you know, they're so unregulated, they're so crazy, you know, crazy ass, like the big ass cigar. It's like, it might take days or weeks before these things are acted on. And it's like, you might think, oh, it'd be great, I could, do a contest and give away free cigars. It's like, yeah, that's your risk. It's like, part of the reason I've never been involved with tobacco trading is because you don't know, because it's not face to face, you don't know if the person who you're trading with is at least 21. It's like, yeah, do you really want somebody knocking on your door saying, guess what? You just traded cigars with somebody who was 15. It's like, yeah, I wouldn't want that fucking bullshit. It's like, I wouldn't want that BS in my life. It's like, so that's an example of how, and I know I'm getting off topic here, but that's an example of how YouTube really protects us, is they're so heavily regulated that, it's like, yeah, it's like, they may have really damn strict rules. They may have a lot of rules that don't make sense. And yeah, a lot of it is to protect their own butt. It's like, but yeah, do you want to go on a website where it's, sorry, my nose is itchy, where it's less strict, and then have a cop knocking at your door? It's like, because you broke the law. It's like, yeah, be damn careful. I would be careful on these other websites where they're less regulated, and it's kind of like, oh, free for all anarchy. It's like, do whatever the hell you want, because you can get into a lot of shit. It's like, also, copyright is another huge issue. It's like, copyright on a lot of these websites. It's like a lot of these websites in the past, like Napster and LimeWire. I mean, LimeWire is terrible. I would never recommend going on LimeWire. I've heard just horrible fucking things about that bullshit, But yeah, in terms of like a lot of websites, like file sharing websites, it's like, copyright is a huge issue. I mean, YouTube is very good about copyright. Yeah, a lot of people say YouTube's copyright system is really broken and unfair, and really, fucking unfair. But it's like, their copyright system really protects you. I mean, it's like, do you want to, a company to sue you? It's like, do you want to go on these websites and be, trading, illegally, trading music? It's like, and have a lawsuit filed against you? Yeah, it's like, YouTube, it may seem unfair, it may seem fun in the moment, but it's like, what I'm trying to say after 6 minutes of rambling is, both from a civil standpoint and a criminal standpoint, and a lot of standpoints, YouTube protects us. Because YouTube is so damn strict, because they're so fucking strict, they protect us in a lot of ways. Obviously, there are people who still break the rules. I mean, of course there are people who break the rules. Of course there are people who will still put links to tobacco websites. Of course there are. I mean, people are always going to break the rules. It's like, always. It's like, but that's a risk they take. It's like, but because YouTube is so strict, because they have such strict rules, they're really protecting us and really looking out for us. On a lot of these very small websites, there's very little regulations. It's like, you don't know what's getting uploaded. It's like, you don't know if something has been stolen or copyrighted. It's like, be careful. It's like, be damn careful. Like, you can get into a lot of shit that way. It's like, yeah, you can get into a lot of shit. It's like, there are literally people, and again, I'm not trying to like scare you off these websites. It's like, there's a lot of people who've literally lost everything over this kind of crap, both from a civil standpoint and a criminal standpoint. And no, I'm not actually a lawyer. I'm not actually giving you legal advice. So yeah, there's people who've literally lost everything. There's people on these file sharing websites who have like downloaded illegally, have downloaded like copyrighted music, illegally. They've ended up paying $500,000 in damages for illegally file sharing and pirating music. There are people who've gone to prison for 20 years for possessing the bad stuff involving children. Not going to say the word. It's like, be fucking careful. It's like, be careful of a lot of these smaller websites, like especially for like foreign countries. I'm not trying to be racist, believe me, I'm not trying to be racist. It's like, but especially from like, Eastern Europe, Russia, China, a lot of these countries like, India, it's like, be careful. It's like, you do not want somebody knocking on your door. Believe me, it's the last thing you fucking want. It's like, and I know I'm going on a limb here and saying, oh yeah, they'll automatically be illegal material. It's like, Yeah, there could be. It's like, be damn careful. It's like, just be careful for a better word. And that's a good example after 7 or 10 minutes rambling of how YouTube really, really protects both its platform and its users from potentially bad stuff is because they are so damn strict. Because YouTube is so fucking strict, they protect us from a lot of crap. Anyway, that's my whole point of rambling after 15 minutes. Bye. Pretty fucking cool.